Is there possibility you can make me need your breath?
Please welcome Laverne Cox.
Is
Please give it up for Laverne Cox. Everybody, Laverne Cox.
That the preoccupation with transition and with surgery objectifies trans people.
I'm Laverne Cox, and this is how it got better.
Let's not make pretend, baby. We play a storybook in our dreams. Let's not care about you.
If someone came up to me and told me that I was not normal, I told them to f off. That's because I don't have to deal with that in life.
The reality of trans people's lives is that still often we're targets of violence. We experience discrimination disproportionately to the rest of the community. Our unemployment rate is twice the national average. If you're a trans person of color, it's 4 times the national average. The homicide rate in the LGBT community is highest amongst trans women. When we focus on transition, we don't actually get to talk about those things.
I'm going to face it a lot as I get older, and I'm going to keep facing it, so I just have to grow a thick skin and get used to it.
Someone other than me.
The way the media portrays transgender characters, it's actually getting a lot better, but in the past, like Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, there was a transgender character, and Silence of the Lambs. They're always portrayed as tricksters and people who trick others into just getting sex, and or they're violent or they're insane. But now, like in Orange is the New Black, with Laverne Cox, the wonderful actress, it's actually getting a lot better. Transgender is a very large, what we call an umbrella term. Basically, it's this overarching branch of all these different identities, because gender isn't just black or white. There's a million shades of gray. You could say that there's a gender for every person on Earth. It's a little bit different for everyone. In the transgender community, there are binary transgender people, so trans men and trans women, and there are non-binary people, like myself, who are, I don't know, they could be a mishmash of male and female, they could be something else entirely, they could be a little bit male but quite not, or more female but not quite. So it's very broad, actually.
Gender is something that's just defined in a particular time and place. So how we define what masculine is or feminine is really just our society at this point in time. And we can even see those roles becoming broader. But still, a lot of people think you either are here male, you're here female, and there's nothing in between. And I don't think people are really that way. I think we're all, there are some people who are extremely female in their identity or extremely male, but I think most of us are somewhere in between.
Gender is your internal sense of self, and sexuality is who you're attracted to. They're both completely separate. Sexuality is also very varied. There are lots and lots of sexual identities that most people don't know about. There's also romantic identities. People experience sexual and romantic attraction, or they don't in some cases. Like asexual people, they don't experience sexual attraction to anyone, and aromantic people don't experience romantic attraction. You could be heterosexual and homoromantic, so you could be attracted to the opposite sex, but you'd only want to be romantically involved with someone of the same sex. I identify as a non-binary transgender person. I like science. I really like space, to be more specific. Bill Nye the Science Guy was my childhood idol. I like art a lot too. I draw a lot. Sometimes for hours on end until my hand cramps up. Yep. I have too many books and no space for them yet. There's gonna be bookshelves soon. Yep. That's all I got. As I was growing up, there was just a lot of confusion, because when you're a child, you kind of think that everyone thinks like you do. And as you get older, you realize that people are different, they have different beliefs. So once I realized that not everyone felt the same way as I did about gender, I was just really confused and I felt alone. And then when I got older and I found out that there were more people like me, I felt like I more had like a place in the world. But I didn't know anyone like me personally, so I just kind of went online and started talking to people, started researching things. It was still really terrifying to come out because I didn't know how people would react, and within the time that I found out that I was trans, I developed really bad anxiety. I started having panic attacks all the time, and one day the cost of being in the closet became more than the safety of not being out to people, and I just had to come out, so I told my mom.
I think one of the things I felt most was, this is a very brave person that can come out and say this. When they came out as transgender, I was surprised, but not extremely surprised. And in a lot of ways, I was relieved when they came out and told me. For one thing, I was the first person that they told, and that made me feel very good.
I remember being 9 years old and reading an article about gender-neutral parenting and how these parents in like Sweden or something, Sweden's nice, they were raising their children just to be themselves without any expectations of how they should dress, how they should act, what toys they should play with, and it just really made sense to me, and I realized that I was lucky enough to have something similar to that, except I wasn't completely free of other people's expectations, especially outside of my home. I often use art and music, actually, and writing as outlets for my anxiety and just the stress of living as a transgender person in our society. It's always been really close to my heart. Even since I was little, I've always drawn when I was feeling frustrated. And before I was out, I was kind of withdrawn from other people. I didn't have anyone to talk to, so I kind of just retreated into that little bubble of art and creativity. It's just like, it's an instinctive thing. You just put what you're feeling onto paper and it helps make those emotions more tangible and easier to process, I think. Especially when you don't have a way to speak them to others. I think that the transgender community faces such a hard time, even compared to the rest of the LGBT community, because we're so different. In the LGBT community, well, the LGB community, it's just about sexuality, but gender, it plays a really big role in our society of how people act and how we communicate with each other. And when people break those roles, some people feel threatened, especially when they don't understand it. Because when you don't understand something, it can be kind of scary. So people lash out against that.
There was fear on my part that what other people would think in society. And so I felt a sense of protectiveness. It's like, my child is trans and I need to make sure that they feel safe, that they are safe. But on the other hand, in the last couple of years, things have changed so much. I have other friends who are trans, and I know they've gone through a lot of prejudice.
I just don't know what's going to happen. No one knows what's going to happen, really. I hope that I can help play a part in it, though, making things better for us.
You say we are faceless, even as I put a name to our faces.